Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Biblical Encouragement from across the pond. I'm DJ from Homegrown Ministries, joined by my friend Glenn Martin, who might be here or here. I don't know which way it happens, but he's on there somewhere. So today we are continuing our series on the Ten Commandments, focusing on commandment number 8 in this episode, which is "Thou shalt not steal." That comes from Exodus chapter 20, verse 15. Some translations say "You shall not steal." Either way, we're talking about theft in today's video. And I know that sounds like a very simple commandment, but it's actually quite complicated. And we're going to find out why. So over to you, Glenn. What do you take from this commandment, and how, as Christians, should we apply it to our lives?
Yeah. Well, I think it's one that everybody is familiar with. It's something that we've been taught from, I think, any age of understanding is you don't take stuff that doesn't belong to you. Now, at some point or another, I don't care who you are, everybody has stole something. And what I mean by that is, whether you've been a child and you've took a packet of sweets that doesn't belong to you, or you went into your mother, father's wallet or purse and you've took money out of it, or maybe even perhaps you've been at work and you've went home an hour earlier without your boss knowing, you've stole time off your boss, or maybe even so much as a paper clip. It's still theft. It's still class of stealing. And everybody's guilty of it at some point. Everybody's guilty of the word theft. And people say, well, I haven't done that. Well, you have at some point. Everybody's done something. Maybe you've even parked your car somewhere and you're supposed to have a ticket for it, or the meter, and you've took a chance and you ran up. You know what I mean? So there is always something there. That's why I think Jesus had said, there's no righteous, no, not one, because we've all fallen short of the glory of God. Myself, I'm guilty of the word theft and stealing. I'm sure you're the same, Daniel. But I think it's very, very important just for us to recognize that it is vital. God has set these commandments out. And I'd never say that, the Bible itself, not just the commandments, but in addition to that, the commandments is that the Bible would be more like a handbook to life. It's more like your manual you'd have for a car. This is like your manual for life. God's stating out here what you to keep yourself right. Sorry. So that's my take on it so far. I just wanted to sort of open up and just say that wee bit, and then obviously hand it over to yourself and see what you said, and we can go from there.
So the thing that you touched on that I appreciate is that there are different types of theft, for sure. People think, I'm not a thief. I've never stolen anything. But there are so many different types of theft that we have to be mindful of. And you touched on a great one. My day job, not my side hustle, which is this. My day job is to be human resources consultant. So one of the things you see in human resources is people who are stealing time from their employer, who are stealing materials. They think, one ream of paper for the company is not a big deal, and I'm just going to take it from the office because it's there because I need paper at home for my printer. And that could be theft if you're using it for your personal means and you're not getting your employer's approval. Time theft, almost everybody does. I mean, that's the number one reason why corporations lose revenue, is because they're paying someone for 8 hours worth of work and they're doing less than that. Whether it's you're looking at your phone during a non-break time, you're scrolling through Facebook. I mean, there's lots of ways in which you can steal your employer's time. Spending too much time in the break room when you're not on break. I mean, it's prevalent in every corporation, and corporations know this, and it's the cost of doing business. And we have gotten to a point where that's become an acceptable thing. It's no longer theft, but in God's eyes, it's still theft. Just like, I don't know how it is over in Ireland, but here we have posted speed limits. But everybody knows that you can go 10 miles per hour over that posted speed limit and you won't get pulled over. So the speed limit says 35, pretty much everybody's going 45. So that's still breaking the law, going above that speed limit, but we've made it acceptable. And that's how I feel about theft. It's the same thing. We have made, as a society, stealing an employer's time not theft. Putting extra dollars into your expenses isn't theft. And I've seen people justify this before. And at the end of the day, if you get caught, it is theft. If you don't get caught, it's still theft. But the idea is an employer is going to take action against you because although you think that it's not a big deal, it's still theft. And we have to remember that God's standard is moral perfection. So it's not about the value of the item. It's, are you stealing? Now I'm going to go one step further. And this is the conversation I know nobody wants to hear. And I'm not asking for your money. Glenn's not asking for your money. We're not a sanctioned church. This is not something we get paid to do. But you can steal from God too. Withholding your offerings is theft. God has given you everything that you have. For you to withhold your portion back to him, that is theft. And that's reinforced in Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 and 9. This is God speaking. He says, will anyone rob God? Yet you are robbing me. But you say, how are we robbing you? And God responds, in your tithes and offerings. You are cursed with a curse, for you are robbing me, the whole nation, of you. So God takes that very seriously. So if you are not stealing your employer's time, if you've never stolen a thing in your life, but you're still not giving back to God, if you're still not giving back through charitable means, that is theft, because God has blessed you with everything you have. Who are you to withhold your portion back to him? What do you think about that, Glenn?
No, your the verse you picked there was brilliant. It was well said. As I say, a lot of people don't touch on it now because they're afraid of being accused now that, you know, maybe you're looking money off them. But that is the standard about tithes and offerings. It is required, and I think it's very important that people need to recognise that as well. That you know, you can steal from God.
And
But
again,
as
we
I
don't
say,
want your money. I could care
no,
less. Give your money to the
no,
local church, not to us. But at the end of the day, is
no.
if you're not giving it to the church, if you're not giving it for charity in any fashion, and you're holding that all for yourself, that's theft, according to God.
Yeah. So I think that's why Jesus had said to the rich man, you know, give up everything you have and come follow me. And he just couldn't do it because so many people, like I say, if you go back to the first couple of commandments, you know, people idolize their money.
And that's
But
the
thing
crazy
is,
thing there is Jesus calls him to get rid of everything, right? But Jesus
yeah,
could have called him to get rid of $20 and the guy might not have been able to do it, because the problem there
that's
is the
right.
man made money his idol and he couldn't part with it. And if you've ever seen
Yeah,
like those hoarders shows where people are trying to help people who
yes,
are hoarding stuff, and they're like, hey, can you get rid of this one piece of paper? And they make every excuse in the book why they can't get rid of it. And we think that's ridiculous, but we do it with our own money. We do. That is the one thing that we hoard. We will not give that up. And it's again, as far as God's concerned, if you're holding that from him, it's theft.
but that's to say the thing is you can't take it with you. I remember my father telling me this story, and he used to dig graves for council for the local government, whatever it was, and there was just one man, and he had like so many millions, and he said to his wife, "I want to be buried with my money." He insisted he was taking it with him. So whenever he died, she wrote him a check and popped it in his jacket, and you know, it just, you can't take it with you. But his mindset at that time, that's what she done. She wrote him a check, but the thing was, the money was still sitting in her account, you know. But she wrote him a check and put it in his jacket, and he is buried with it. Like, but people think they're here for the long haul. You're not. You're just passing through this life. So you are. You're just, as I say, you're not here forever. You can't take it with you. So
So it
you know
reminds
what I
me
mean.
of a great Bible joke. So the joke goes, there's a millionaire. He's on his deathbed and he's praying to God and he says, God, let me take my money. And so he finally dies. And Jesus meets him and says, hey, listen, can't take your money. Like, we just can't come with you. And the guy says, well, can I please just bring just one briefcase of gold bars? Like, it's not money. It's just, I just want my gold bars. Can I bring a briefcase full of gold bars? So Jesus finally shrugged his shoulders and says, sure, whatever. Like, come on, we're going to heaven and you can bring your gold bars. The guy gets to the pearly gates. Again, it's a joke, so take it for what it's worth. And Peter's there, right, to let him in, and says, oh, what'd you bring with you? You can't bring anything with you. And he says, well, I got approved from Jesus. I was allowed to bring my gold bars. And he opens up the briefcase and shows Peter his gold bars. And Peter looks at him and goes, why would you bring street bricks to heaven? Because, get it? Heaven would be lined with golden bars for
Right.
their streets. So the idea is what we think is valuable here is not valuable there. And that's why God says, don't store up for yourself treasures on earth, but store up for yourself treasures that are in heaven. Because A, you can't take it with you, but B, even if you could, it's not valuable in heaven. Like
No.
what we find valuable is like stones in heaven.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting. The other thing that I want to mention is that we are, as Christians, because I always like to point the Old Testament to the New Testament, we as Christians are called to be renewed, right? So it's not just about you shall not steal. As a Christian, we're called to go one step further all the time from that. And so when we look at Ephesians chapter 4, verse 28, we are reminded, thieves must give up stealing. Rather, let them labor and work honestly with their own hands, so as to have something to share with the needy. So it's one step further. It's not you shouldn't steal anymore now that you're a Christian. It's that you should not only not steal, but you should work so that you can give back to the needy. So we are called to be renewed, not just called to stop our sin, but do a 180 and do the exact opposite. So instead of stealing, we should now give generously to those in need. And that is the other piece to this that I think we miss. Not only can we steal in numerous ways, and not only can we steal from God, but we should not only stop that theft, but we should then put that effort and energy into working to make money so that we can give that to those who are in need. And I don't want to miss that part, because I think that is the most important part of this conversation is that we are called as Christians to be renewed. What do you think?
Absolutely. No, you're right. As I say, charity covers a multitude of sin, and that's very, very important to recognize that. You could do a simple commandment or saying don't steal, right, as a done, but there's so much more that you can take from that, and I think you've explained it perfectly. So you have there.
It's easy to go through that second half of the list of commandments and go, I don't lie, cheat, steal, murder, covet. I don't do those things. Right? I'm good.
Yeah.
But you're not called to just not do those things. You're called to go one step further. It's not about not lying. It's about telling the truth to all people. Tell them the truth of the gospel to all people. Right. So it's always that call of, it's not just flee from the sin, it's be renewed. So if you take nothing from this video, take that you should, as a Christian, be renewed, be transformed, be so different than the rest of the society that when people see how you act and how you treat others, they think to themselves, what is it that makes that person different? And that question should hopefully point them to the foot of the cross. And that's your goal as a Christian. Whether it's through your words or your actions or a combination of both, everything we should do should be done to glorify God. And that's all I got to say about that. Any final thoughts, Glenn?
No, that's perfect. So it is. But I think we've said no. I think we've covered everything.
Well, good. We even got a joke thrown in there. It wasn't a very good one, but hey, it's in there. So.
Hello.
All right, guys. Well, again, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have questions, leave a comment down below. It might just, spark us to do another video in the future about your specific question. If you like the video or disagree, whatever, just let us know in the comments below. We love to hear from you. And Christian friends, please continue to be the salt of the earth. Be like the world. Go encourage somebody else today, because the world desperately needs it. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.